Hello, my name is Joe Myers. I'm currently on the Fall River School Committee, and good morning. And with me is Dr. Irving Fradkin and Reverend Dr. Lawrence. We're going to talk a little bit about scholarships and what Fall River has done for America. Back a long time ago, oh golly, Dr. Fradkin, how many years now?
It started in 1958, 52 years ago.
When Dr. Fradkin started Dollars for Scholars and had the ambition, also the fortitude, and I guess a little gutsy to write to Eleanor Roosevelt and say, Eleanor, I want $1. Tell us about it.
Well, that's what it is. I was defeated running for the school board, but one of the planks of my platform was dollars from everybody in the city. Tuition was only $200. And if we got $1 from everybody, we'd been able to send every young person on to higher education. Consequently, I gave that idea on paper and sent it on to the president, to Mrs. Roosevelt, to a whole slew of national known people. And lo and behold, I got this letter from Eleanor Roosevelt, including $1. Read the letter if you wouldn't mind.
The letter reads, I was interested to get your letter and to learn of the effort being made in your community to make your people more aware of the opportunities and advantages of college education. I congratulate you, and I am happy to send you $1 toward the effort. Eleanor Roosevelt. It takes someone with dedication to approach the wife of a famous president and herself being a famous individual at that time to speak of and get $1 from. So it's a good beginning.
Not only that, because of her encouragement, I called President Eisenhower collect, and I didn't reach him, of course. But Dr. Fox, who took the call, said, only rich people give scholarships. You're the first person in America to go to young people, to go to citizens. Citizens, citizens, citizens are the backbone of democracy. We're going to support you as best we can because you're doing something in pure democracy. You're doing a great job. Keep it up and keep us informed.
Reverend Lawrence, you've been a leader in the community for a long time.
Well, it's been a joy.
Excellent. And in your years of being a community leader, what have you seen with regards to the growth and development of young people?
Oh, I can testify to the fact that what began in Fall River in 1958 has had a profound effect on young people being motivated in a very practical way, because obviously schooling is expensive, to see some of the fruition of what this man began. Dr. Fradkin began in 1958. I came in 1954 to Fall River. I was invited to come down and work with a leading person in the community, a churchman, and while I was still in seminary, and how well we remember some of the leading citizens of the community outstanding on street corners with a tin can, could stop traffic to collect $1 bill. And to think of what this has done for America all over, in all the small communities, big communities. I have the pleasure of serving on a council at the national board level, and to hear what people, leaders of other communities are saying about what this man began here in Fall River is a real tribute to the success of what Fall River has done for the nation. We realize that things aren't easy today to achieve, but it's interesting to note what Dr. Fradkin just got through saying, that he called the President of the United States, he called him collect, because he knew that somebody that would take that kind of initiative to involve people and to get the response that he got is an indication of how contagious this thing is, how imaginative it is to involve everybody. And I think that the best quote that I know of, Mr. Martin and Dr. Fradkin, was by Bill Bennett in 1994, and it's one that rings.
Secretary of Education.
Secretary of Education. He says, and I quote him, he says, "The hard truth is that a free society, in the free society, the ultimate responsibility rests with the people themselves. This is our problem. This is the nation's issue, each one, each individual. It is our beliefs, that our behavior, and our philosophy that have in many instances changed for the worse. Our injury is self-inflicted. But the good news is that what has been self-inflicted can also be self-corrected." Boy, that says it.
That's a powerful statement.
It's powerful because we can sit here and complain and, and all of the things that we see. Read your daily newspaper, and we can sit here and see exactly the issues that we don't like that are going on in the nation, our communities around the country. But to think that we have the power, we have the ability, the talent of what this man began on a one-to-one relationship between who he was and the vision that he had for what could yet be achieved, is that what Bennett has said, that whatever has been self-inflicted can also be self-corrected. And each of us have that responsibility to the self to make the world a better place by seeing what we have been able to accomplish and will continue to accomplish in the lives of young people seeking an education that will make the world better.
You know, what you're saying, I'll give you specific examples. Wakefield, Massachusetts came to me 52 years ago. Chamber of Commerce throughout the country has been a great supporter of this program. They said, "We don't have any money. How did you get started? How can we do this in Wakefield?" When we explained it, they took it back to Wakefield, knowing that all the money they raise in Wakefield is going to go for the kids only in Wakefield. Well, you know, when the community supports it, when the paper, the publisher of the paper actually became the president of the chapter at one time, you know, they have $11 million in trust funds. Nobody in Wakefield is denied an education because of money. You know, there's no dropouts. You know, there's no crime to speak of. You know, you get people, when you talk to people who are on the board, why are you a member of the board? I got a scholarship with my child. I have 3 children who are going to get scholarships. Everybody says, we, the community, benefited from this. We will work together to continue making a better community. And that has been done. We have 1,200 chapters in 42 states, and many chapters throughout the country do exactly what Wakefield has done. It can be a win-win situation for any community that says, let's get behind it, let's give the greatest asset our country has, the minds of the young people. Give them a dream, give them hope, give them support. They won't drop out of school. They'll become taxpayers. They'll be benefit to the community.
I'd like to piggyback on the two items that you were speaking of. Reverend Lawrence, when you mentioned about Fall River and going back at that point in time, would you say that the Dr. Fradkin's Dollars for Scholars, which has grown to be now Scholarship America nationwide and international, I know that Fall River has many, many accomplishments, but how would you rate the scholarship giving as in that realm of accomplishments for the city of Fall River?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin, for asking that question. I'd like to answer your question by putting it in perspective. We are getting ready in Fall River to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the cotton industry. 100 years ago was the centennial of the cotton industry, in which we all know the President of the United States came to Fall River, and so that was in 1911. Now we are organizing a committee, and we're planning a big event in October to commemorate the next 100 years of Fall River and what happened back in 1911. So I have been looking at what has happened in Fall River in the last 100 years to celebrate. We want a new celebration. Well, we can't celebrate the mills because obviously they're not here anymore, right? But there are other things that are here, and that's what we can't forget. And one of the events that I have come up with in researching the answer to your question has certainly been Scholarship America. For these 50 years, to see what this man has done, Dr. Fradkin, in accomplishing some of the objectives that he had in a philosophy of the quality of life, has certainly been one of the very significant things that have happened that we need to celebrate again here in 2011 as we observe the honor of having all these cotton mills and the economy and all of the prestige that Fall River had throughout the nation because of an industry. Today we don't have that industry, but we have something possibly even better because it has ramifications much beyond the borders of Fall River, beyond the city limits. It has ramifications throughout the world, whereby we can help young people to achieve the full potential that is within them through education in doing what this man began right here on the streets of Fall River.
You know, when you say that, listen to some of the people that we have helped locally, just from Fall River alone. The president of Gordon College got a scholarship in 1958. He is now president of Gordon College. You have attorney Joe Macy. He got a scholarship from Brown University, but he said the scholarship I got from Dollars for Scholars was even more important because my community believed in me. He is now a judge. We have helped the president of the Teachers Association, a member of Dollars for Scholars. The head of the guidance director at Durfee is the recipient. We have helped more people in teachers, than any other organization in America. We have raised and generated, at the present time, over $2.5 billion, helped 2 million students, never been done in the history of America. If you did not have Fall River supporting this program, there would be a greater need for teachers because I say we have helped more people going into teaching than any other organization, into law, into medicine, into all phases. But we are not limited to just college. If you are a vocational student, if you're going into any form like that. Years ago, in the early 60s, a young man came to us. He needed financial help. I think there's 8 or 9 or 10 people in his family. He's blind. And some people said, he's blind, how can he be any worthwhile? But when you have God's gift in you, when you have God's ability, and you give that person an education. He was on the front page of the Fall River paper yesterday, Dennis Porcellus, because he and 2 other people in his family got scholarship. He is now retired, but he made a great living and became a great example of anybody with a handicap, maybe a handicap, but God's gift give him an education, and he can go far beyond that.
My favorite story, while you're mentioning names here, that I still get goosebumps thinking about it, is that there was a family in Fall River. They had several children, and when it came time for the last child to go on to higher education, the family had no money. They couldn't afford what this girl's dream was of wanting to be a nurse. It's the most heartwarming story that I've ever encountered. So no money. She had the dream of doing something with her life. So she comes to Dollars for Scholars, and Dr. Fradkin made the funds available for this young lady to go on to school, and she subsequently fulfilled her dream in being a nurse. So a few years after graduation from nursing school, Dr. Fradkin has a heart attack in his office on North Main Street here South Main Street here in Fall River. They call the ambulance. They rush him to the hospital. They bring him into the emergency room. Who's the nurse that's there to meet this man from the ambulance on a later to get the kind of care that he needed, but the very woman that he helped?
Pauline de Mello Sardina.
And here he is today. That was many years ago. And through the love and the concern and the desire and the fulfillment of a dream, this man is sitting here today, continuing that dream for all the young people out there that have the ambition and the motivation to want to go forward and get the things that will give them meaning in life. By doing that, getting their fulfillment, their own meaning, they're going to make the world a better place.
You mentioned about Fall River and being the starting point, and as a compliment, as an accomplishment of Fall River. Right? Yeah. Dr. Fradkin, had this failed, you collected back then something like $4,500. What if the citizens of Fall, and at that point in time, that was a considerable amount of money. Right? What if the citizens of Fall River at that point in time said no?
Well, we would have died, would not have happened. You would not have had this type of a building, which is now in St. Peter, Minnesota. We could have been in Fall River or hiring over 200 people here. But what happened is that I would go into a restaurant and take out membership cards and say, would you like to help for $1? And the response was so beautiful that I was able to raise $4,500. I had somebody in a truck stop traffic, got out of the truck. Here's a couple of bucks. I want somebody to go to college. Went back into his trucks and go. Somebody comes into my office. His shoes are all muddy, tied with a string. I work in a mill. It's a terrible job. I want people to go to college. Here's 50 cents. When I get 50 more cents, I'll come back and give it to you. We had Tom Rogers, now deceased, who started Globe Manufacturing. Says, Irv, he was a patient of mine, I can't hire people in Fall River, they don't have an education. Here's $300, I'm looking for $1. $300 was a tremendous amount of money. He said, come to my employees, see what they want to do. And 100% gave $1. We had $300 and $400, $700, which made up the $4,500 that we raised to help the kids and start this whole program. What you say is true. People in Fall River know that their kids deserve a chance to go to college. Money, money, money should not be a deterrent to somebody going to college. It's a disgrace to America, and America should be ashamed of itself. $50,000 to go to a college? Wrong. It should not be that amount of money. $200, what it used to be for a state school or junior college. We have to work together to bring the price down so it can be afforded by everybody.
So that if, in essence, if Fall River decided, the citizens of Fall River back then said no, by not donating any of that portion of that $4,500, basically it would have died.
It had to die,
right.
Because how can you give no scholarships? We gave out 20. I think we were going to give 15, but we gave 24 because the city responded and helped, and that set an example. Can you imagine 24 scholarships in 1958? We've generated now over 2 million kids throughout America staying in school and going on to higher education.
That 2 million is from the American Dream, I'm sorry, from the Scholarship America, as it is, your program has grown to be a national and an international program.
As 2 years
Yeah,
ago, it became international.
Yes.
We process scholarships for over 1,200 corporations, General Electric, Sara Lee, Bank of America, because they know if they give scholarships to the children of their employees, they've built up a reservoir of trained people that they can hire.
Mr. Martin, I'd like to address the question that you asked. Suppose it failed. I'm reminded throughout my life of one of the concluding sentences in the diary of Anne Frank. With all that she went through, and history has told us the story, and we've all read it. But one of the final lines is that she said, in spite of all of the things that she encountered in life, and the concentration camps and all of that, her statement was that I can still believe in the goodness of people. And I carry that with me through life, even though there are times when, you want to hit somebody over the head with a 2x4, but not literally, of course. But when you have a leader, when you have somebody that is promoting something as good, you're going to get followers, because he's tapping in to the very thing that is within the human psyche to want life to be better. And all it takes is sometimes is a leader. I haven't got the initiative or the incentive or maybe the background or whatever to dream the kind of a program. But if there's somebody out there that has it, and I want to get on his bandwagon, I want to ride a successful story. And so I don't see how it could have been a failure. I hear the possibility that it could have been a failure. But when you're tapping in to the unconscious motivation of the human psyche that wants things better in life, this was a natural for America to grab a hold of and move with, and today we see the success of it.
Let me build upon that for a second. You are a chaplain for the Bristol County Sheriff's Department. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm one of the deputy sheriffs.
One of the chaplains,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. You have run across a wide gamut of inmates in your chaplaincy, and some of them quite young.
Oh yes, yes. I was in a boys' reformatory in El Reno, Oklahoma, for many years. Yeah.
Right. Of the inmates that are, say, in their late teens to mid-20s, what are some of the reasons why they are incarcerated?
The basic, and this is a generalization, is a tremendously low self-esteem. No desires, no dreams, nothing that will get them out of the socioeconomic standings that they're in, situation that they're in, and to not have the hope that they can be better. So crime is a way out. It's an alternative that they have in their lives for the lack of stimulation. More important than having served many years as a chaplain for the Federal Bureau of Prisons was the experience I had as a chaplain for the Olympics, the Winter Olympics in Vancouver last February. And when I see the young people that are on the Olympics, and I've compared them in my thinking with the young people that I have met in federal reformatories and federal prisons, it's so clear. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or a social reformer in any way to see the value of what Dr. Fradkin has begun here in Fall River for the answer to your question of creating some self-esteem, an ego, to feel that, and putting my theological hat on, that the temple of God is within me. And that needs to be developed in terms of the expression of those talents, those skills, those abilities that have been given to me that isn't in anybody else, that has to be developed in order for me to accomplish something that makes me feel good about who I am. You
One
know.
of the things that Dr.
Joe,
Go ahead.
you now have led into the American Dream Challenge. You're a member of American Dream Challenge.
Yes.
What is the American Dream Challenge? Answering the questions you asked him.
Well, the purpose of American Dream Challenge is to entice upon students in elementary school and in middle school and in high school to not only to stay in school, but also to try their best and to foster in their mind that, hey, I can go on to post-secondary education. I can go on to college. And by having these students, yeah, there's some competition, and in some cases people say, well, students shouldn't be involved in competition because those that don't win, well, you know, I understand that, but I wish we had all the money in the world to be able to give every single student a scholarship certificate, but that's not possible. So therefore, whatever we can raise, we do give out to in the form of a scholarship certificate, redeemable when the student goes on to post-secondary education in there. So that in the fourth grade, the student can earn something like $250, and then in the sixth grade, another if the student wins again, $250. In the eighth grade and in the 10th grade. So if you win in all four, you have $1,000, and you can apply to Dollars for Scholars for another $1,000 scholarship as well. But you know, Dr. Fradkin, you indicated that the cost of tuition is, you know, up $50,000, in some cases more, and that's very typical. UMass Amherst is around 50 grand if you have to live there, and it's quite a commute to get there. However, you do have UMass Dartmouth, and it's a little bit cheaper, but nevertheless, many students. You multiply that by 4 years, you have one heck of a bill to pay. You know, back to, because student loans, while the interest is low, but still has to be paid back. But with these young people in prison, and you said that the low self-esteem, right? Those individuals want to have all the same desires that everybody that the Olympians have. Right. They want to have the nice clothes. They want to have a car. They want to be able to go out and you know and party, not exorbitantly, but they want to go out and have all the good things, but yet they can't afford it.
They can't limit it.
So as a result, what they do, that desire for the good things in life is so powerful. And you're reverting to crime, and then you get yourself into the judicial system.
It costs you $40,000 to $100,000 to keep a kid in 1 year in school. One out of every 10 dropouts, and there's about what is it, about 40%, 45% dropouts in Fall River. One out of every 10 dropouts end up in jail. If you took that person, put $1 on his back, it's a win-win situation. For every person who owns property, for every person who pays rent, for every person who has a building, for every person who lives in Fall River. Give this same kid a dream, hope, and give him support. He'll become a taxpayer. He won't be a burden in prison. 65% of those in jail go back to jail within 3 to 5 years. You could spend $500,000 on one youngster, but give him a chance to become a taxpayer. He'll become your doctor, your lawyer, your teacher. He'll be doing something worthwhile to help make a better city.
Yes.
Motivation. This is the key to get motivation within the lives of young people, to see that they can achieve whatever that dream is that they have. And if they don't have a dream, society needs to create that dream. And we need to give them the options in life to see that there are possibilities of their achieving something, but some of these people just don't feel they're worth it, you know. And you know, I've known people that have grown up here in Fall River, and they've said to me, you know, well, my father always felt that the mills were good enough for him; they're good enough for me, the next generation. Well, that's kind of sad, because the child is being very denied any potential of fulfilling whatever it might be. But there are other things in society that can help them to create those dreams if you can't get it from what
Now,
you'd expect.
that leads into economic development.
Oh, yes.
Back, back 50 years ago,
Oh, yes.
there were still some mills and sewing shops in Fall River,
That's right.
and people graduating from high school, even dropouts,
Yeah.
could get a job. And if they were married and both husband and wife were working in the mills and the shops, they could at least have a livelihood.
Exactly, yeah,
and raise
yeah,
a family
yeah.
in here.
They could
However,
exist,
those jobs are gone.
Yep.
They're gone now, and we find ourselves economically where we find ourselves. Right? And you have been involved, Reverend Lawrence, on many school activities and boards in here, and with economic development of Fall River. But what do you find as some of the stumbling blocks to having economic development in Fall River?
Industry. Industry in terms of what it is that we can create better jobs, obviously, and this is, this gets into the political realm, and all the other issues that we have to contend with in society that can help a person to achieve what it is that they really want. But we don't have those options. And this is why all the people, and not all, but many of the people that have been very productive in their education here in the Fall River school system, graduates of this school, BMC Durfee High School, they've gone on and they've achieved great academic success, but they don't come back to Fall River. I have 2 children, and they graduated, and there is not the opportunity for them to expand what it is that this city has given them the roots to accomplish, and to be the persons that they want to be, and the fulfillment of those dreams. But to really get them achieved, we need to look at what the city has to provide for these people. Okay. And you know better than anybody else in the school committee that these people have very, very few options in their life.
But what a tremendous sad when you have children and they're so far away you may see them once or twice a year the most. Yeah. If 87% of industries have said they won't come into a city that does not have educated people, we the people can make the difference. If we work together. We have the 50th anniversary of this program started here January 10th, 1961. If we went along and showed to the rest of the country, we started this program so that communities throughout the country, there will be someday, there will be $1 billion annually to help 1 million students because of Fall River, Mass. Let Fall River understand and appreciate itself, pat itself on the back. This is what I find. When you have an educated community and your children don't move away, you are enriched by them and their future children.
Yeah, this leads to, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
That's right.
In here. And it's said frequently that education is the key.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I firmly believe in.
But,
however, we need the industry to come in. Now, slowly, I think industry is coming in. We have Meditech currently, and they're considering building another building in the industrial park. They're on Martin Street now, and they require college graduates,
professional people,
right? Yes, in there. We have the technology park that is coming in, and those companies that will come into the technology park will most likely require engineers and
educated people.
Educated people in here, so that that will build as more and more companies do move in. But it still has the foundation of education in order to provide the service or the employees needed in here. Oh, I'm sure that they will get employees because people travel, right? I'm hoping that the employees that they do ultimately hire from the companies that will be coming in here are Fall River residents, and that Fall River natives, the youngsters that are now going to be graduating in a few years and going on as those companies build, taking more and more students.
There'd be reason for them to stay, you know, and accomplish and have all the things that they want in life that a good education can provide. And so it takes a village. No matter how you shape it, you know, it does. Whether it's the political realm or the business realm or the science realm or the medical realm or the educational realm, it takes a village. We have to interrelate in all of the various disciplines that we have in order to see how and this is one segment that feeds all of that. For the good of the community, but there is hope. I don't think it's a big cloud hanging over our community with the young people, because I do see that there are lots of the good things that are happening, and that's what I'm saying in an article that I'm writing about what's happened in the last 50 years, 100 years since 1911, the last celebration of the cotton mills, which we don't have anymore. But there are different kinds of lights that are shining now. If they're not in the 24/7 mills that are running, there's a new sound in it, and it's not the looms of the mills, but there's a new sound out there in terms of what it is that they're crying for, the kinds of things that will accomplish the very things you're talking about, of keeping the young people here to achieve their successful lives.
Let's talk about some of the famous people that have recognized scholarships, recognized Scholarship America, Dollars for Scholars in there. And I believe you have some quotes from some of the famous people. If you could just indicate, you know, the names of the people and maybe something that they said.
Whether it's President Eisenhower said this is a program which should be done throughout America, from President George Bush, he says America's never the same unless they have educated people. Whether you have President Reagan, the Citizen Scholarship Foundation brings to the community throughout the century the right way of helping young people. President Clinton says education is one of the effective ways of making a better community, a better country. You've had quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt, and General Colin Powell said this is the best organization he's ever come across to help young people stay in school and go on. This is the Scholarship City, and when we have the support of everybody, a dollar doesn't go anyplace, but put the dollars together, we can make it possible for every young person to stay in school and go on to higher education.
If anyone out there is interested in making a contribution to further the scholarship giving within Fall River, you can send whatever you would like to
Box 103, Dollars for Scholars of Fall River, tax exempt. The money would stay for the kids in this community. We're all non-salaried. 100% of your contribution would go in the back of some kid in Fall River.
I can't leave here today, Mr. Martin, without giving Dr. Fradkin $1 to just show.
I have to match that as well. So, absolutely, absolutely. So
you're looking for quotes from people, Mr. Martin, and this one here that I find again by Bill Bennett. The American Dream Challenge and Citizen Scholarship Foundation offers us that window of opportunity to reverse the debilitating trends that affect our society. These two programs Citizen Scholarship Foundation, the American Dream Challenge, which can be used in your own community, are examples of what free people can do to build a better community, a more vibrant state, and a more purposeful America.
Wow.
Wow.
Absolutely so. Fantastic.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yes, indeed.
And if you can believe that in terms of what it is that affects the quality of the being, the self, it's got to come out right.
I guess our time is running out, but before we do go, Dr. Fradkin, you were recently awarded an honorary doctoral degree.
I've honored an honorary doctor a couple of years ago in Humane Society, and this year in March I received an honorary degree in law from Mount Ida College.
Right. And I think we have the could someone get the? That'd be great. That's quite an honor. Quite an honor. I have
well,
never
this is because of Fall River once again. If I did not do this in Fall River, I wouldn't have got it. Wow. So I get this in response to Fall River, what Fall River has helped start. And I hope Fall River will continue. It's amazing. When I first started this program in '58, only 2 organizations give scholarships, the alumni of Durfee and ourselves. Today there's over 300 different organizations. Wherever we go, and it's been proven throughout our 1,200 chapters, you see a spring up of scholarships from all varying types of people in that particular community because they see the value of education.
Certainly is an honor.
Any more than that? Yep. Very good.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And we want to thank Fred TV.
Absolutely.
And the crew behind the cameras that you don't see, and Durfee High School for allowing us to come here this morning to talk about scholarships.
Thank God there is an organization like Fred TV in order to be able to bring this to the people.
Thank you very, very much for your time, interest, and ability and talents to produce this program. Good.